Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing the Asus ROG Ally in GTA 5. Now, this one is the Z1 Extreme version of the Asus ROG Ally. It's not the Z1 Non-Extreme, that's much lower than this, so keep that in mind. And I'm gonna be using it connected to the ROG Gaming Charger dock, so I am able to connect the dock to the HDMI on the capture card and record all of the gameplay without any performance losses. So, let's get right into it. Shall we? And here we go, we're now in the desktop, everything is connected. I'm still going to utilize the analogs on the ROG Ally to play the games and control the system here. You can see in MSI Afterburner that we're running the Radeon graphics, obviously with the driver version right there. I'm going to be utilizing this to show the on-screen display and the FPS numbers and so on. In Tech Power-Ups GPU-Z, you can take a look at all of the GPU specs. It is utilizing 4GB of our RAM as dedicated VRAM. It's DDR5 right there. And over on the left in Task Manager, you can see the Ryzen Z1 Extreme with its 8 cores and 16 threads right there, as well as the 16GB of VRAM, of which only 12 are enabled as system RAM and the other 4 are dedicated to VRAM. Let's get into the game now. Okay, here we have it, guys. GTA 5 on a handheld device, running absolutely flawlessly. Like, look at those FPS. Holy crap, that's such a big improvement compared to the Steam Deck that I played this with last time around, at least testing handhelds, that is. Let's go over the settings first, okay? Actually, more importantly, let's go over the ROG Ally operation modes. I got it in turbo mode, but I'm also going to test it in silent, as well as what happened? As well as performance, and this is in Portuguese. I still haven't figured out how to change the language here, because Windows is actually in English, but yeah, that's what it means. We're in turbo mode first and plugged in at the same time, okay? So that GPU power usage is quite high, at 40-something watts at the moment. Damn. Temperatures are okay, though. This is a chip that can go up to like 95 degrees Celsius just fine, okay? So let's go over the actual game settings this time around. There are a lot of things to take a look here, guys. So we're playing at 1080p resolution, and I'm also going to test this one at 900p and 720p. And we're using the X11 with very high textures and high settings everywhere else. The population density, variety, as well as distance scaling are all turned to the maximum. And over on the advanced settings, I got everything turned off because these are very, very intensive settings indeed. So let's actually get a decent car, not this crappy looking one. Also, one thing that I noticed here with this internal GPU is that if you select 2 times MSAA under reflections, for example, you get no reflections whatsoever, and these reflections are very poor looking. They're just the normal reflections. Yeah, this is a shame to see, actually, because it's not present in newer AMD GPUs, but it's actually present in older GPUs from AMD, for example, like the 5000 series, RX 5000 series, as well as RX 500 series, and so on. You guys have no idea how long it took me to make everything work, like capture card-wise, dock-wise, as well as the external keyboards to make the the 1% lows and averages counting system work. It's been a really pain in the ass, but it is working after all, and I'm glad that it is. We're getting 60 FPS average so far. Also, of course, we're running unlocked FPS right here. This has a 120Hz monitor on the ROG Ally. Unfortunately, we can only use it at 60Hz with a capture card, but that's fine. You know, it's going to be very smooth on the Ally indeed. Also, guys, I am seeing a little bit of stuttering here and there. It's nothing major, really. If you lock the FPS, it will probably go away. But yeah, that frame time graph is flawless most of the time, but sometimes you can see a little bit of fluctuation there, like that little frame time was definitely noticeable, for example. So that's something to keep in mind. You'll want to lock your FPS to achieve the best out of a handheld device like this one, and of course locking the FPS will also improve battery life and so on, and temperatures as well. Oh, the temperature dropped like crazy now that we're here. Interesting. And the power utilization as well. I think it was boosting a little bit higher, like with turbo boost or something, and now it went down to the 30 watts that it's supposed to be at. So sometimes you might see a bit of fluctuation there in terms of power utilization, but it will all flat out at 30 watts, I guess. Hello, Jack. How's it going? Where are you going today, my friend? Do you like the ROG Ally? Do you recommend people to buy it? You know what? I've been enjoying it quite a lot lately, but I usually use it for indie titles, not really AAA stuff like GTA 5, although you can definitely, clearly play this game absolutely fine. Where is Bob, guys? He is not here. We spent too long just taking a look at reflections and stuff like that, and now we don't really see Bob anywhere. Seriously? We need to find that bastard. Maybe he's on top of this. Wait a second. No. He's not here. Bob? But yeah, look at that GPU utilization around here. Getting 40-something FPS and lower 50s. There is Bob. Okay, there we go. Which one is Bob, by the way? I think that one, because he was glitching out. But hey, we will kill both, because we're not really sure which one is Bob, right? You know what, guys? I think that's enough for turbo mode. It gets us 60 FPS average, which is quite nice indeed. Let's try performance, which is half the TDP at 15 watts, okay? No, I need your car. I need your car. There we go. There we go. I'm gonna start counting our FPS now with 15 watts, okay? Temperatures are much better. It's still using like 20 watts of power, interestingly. I wonder if that's gonna drop down in a little bit as we start playing the game. But let's try this out now. Feeling great still, for sure. Oh, a little bit of a stutter there. Again, those stutters will be gone if you lock the FPS, so no worries. And I really recommend you to lock the FPS. But yeah, now we aren't really getting those 60 FPS. I think we dropped about like 10 frames per second or so on average. Goodbye, sir. Thank you. But I mean, it's still a reasonable experience, especially at the 1080p resolution, right? And especially when you compare it to stuff like the Steam Deck. I haven't tested the OLED Steam Deck, but that's a little bit faster than the one I tested. But yeah, with the Steam Deck, I wasn't even playing at 1080p, and it was already struggling a little bit. I think I played at like very high and high settings, and it was good for a 30 FPS locked experience. If you unlocked it, it had some terrible stuttering issues. So I actually ended up not recommending unlocked FPS with that. Over here, you can actually play with unlocked FPS, but again, I will recommend you to lock them. It's not hard to do. You can do it right here in the ROG Ally's thingy with the FPS limiter, and this will work after you restart the game. Oh, and now we're finally down to the 15-watt TDP, my friends, dropping down into the 30s. Still not bad, but I think at this point I would lock it to 30 FPS and keep it like that. And I mean, for 1080p high settings, this is still really nice. It's kind of astonishing that you can play at native resolution on a handheld device with 8 cores and 16 threads, might I add, and at 30 plus FPS all of the time. 1% lows are below 30 because I am seeing a bit more stuttering than I saw before on turbo mode, that's for sure. Yeah, those frame times are a little bit bigger as well than they were before, but the game is playable, and now the ROG Ally is actually pretty quiet. I can't hear it, guys. No, it is working. The fan is working, but I cannot hear it. Damn, that's really impressive cooling from a system like this. All right, let's turn it down now to 10 watts. This should be pretty rough. Yep. Oh boy, it instantly locked it to 10 watts, by the way. Oops. And it's at 9 watts, actually. It's a little bit lower than it should be. 10%. Oh my god, yeah. At 10 watts in silent mode, guys. First of all, is it actually silent completely? Now, I can still hear a little hissing noise, so the fan is still working. Or maybe it's just the internals doing a hissing noise. I don't know. Maybe coil whine. Could be. It's super silent, though. You cannot hear it unless you put it very, very close to your face. So I'm not gonna call BS on that mode. All right, it is indeed silent. And we're not even GPU bound. Look at that. It's actually at 70% GPU utilization. The CPU is probably at a really, really low clock speed, and it just can't handle GTA 5 like this. Also, I did not forget to include the frequency of the CPU in the on-screen display. It's looking really weird up there, guys. What the hell? It's probably something to do with RSR, which is Radiant Super Resolution. It's always enabled here with the ROG Ally by default at least, and I'd keep it at that because at low resolutions especially it makes the games look way better when on the ROG's display. But yeah, as I was saying, I couldn't really display the frequency of the CPU. It's not available in MSI Afterburner, unfortunately. I can, however, show you this. Yeah, the CPU... Yeah, okay, now we can actually see and take a look at the CPU frequency. It's at 1266, 1300 megahertz, I guess, 1400 sometimes. But it's trying very, very hard, but it can't really do much. Okay, time to go up to 30 watts turbo mode again, guys, and play at the 900p resolution. Come on, it's hard to navigate these menus. Here we go. It's 1600 by 900, and if you take a look at this over here, AMD RSR is activated, and it makes it look way better once again than native resolution. And let's start counting our FPS. So this is turbo mode, 900p. Can we get 60 plus FPS 100% of the time? That would be really, really great. But I don't think that's gonna happen because it's probably gonna drop. No, stop it, guys, stop it. Okay, you get away, get out of the way. People, please, what are you doing? You should know that there's a madman driving around. You should stay at home. Frame time graph is a bit more consistent though. Like, it's way flatter right now than it was at 1080p in this same area. We're still seeing a few very tiny spikes here, but not a problem. Go up here now. Okay, now that the FPS are dropping slightly, we see a few more spikes in the frame time graph. Not a problem, and it's not really dropping from 60 FPS, guys. That's pretty good. Maybe it did drop once or twice, but yeah, not bad indeed. Hello, Jack. How's it going, buddy? Little stutter there. Why did you need to do that, Jack? Down here. Yeah, I'm really impressed that it's not dropping too much, you know? It's dropping into the mid-50s, basically. And that's because GPU usage isn't really that maxed out. It's at 90% over there. It still has a little bit more to give, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. We can't really be CPU bound, can we? With an 8-core 16-threaded CPU with this kind of single-core performance on the Z1 Extreme in GTA 5. Right? We'll see at 720p resolution how that goes. Also, we're seeing a lot of fluctuation on the clock speed of the GPU. That's to be expected, of course. A lot of things are happening on screen. It's always changing the demandingness or the intensiveness of the things that are showing up, of course. It will probably increase the clock speed in areas with a lot of grass, which are more intensive, and then lower it down in roads and in the city and stuff like that. Now, I'm trying to get it down to the 30 watts again. Okay, there we go. Finally. Now with 30 watts flat all of the time. Okay, I'm curious to see whether or not it's gonna stutter. So far, it's been a really smooth experience. At 900p, get me your car, boy. God damn it. Okay, where is ours? Oh, there it is. There it is. I haven't really tried 900p on the actual screen of the Ally, but I have tried 720p, and I know that 720p with RSR looks really, really good. Like, to the point where initially this game started at 720p res. I was playing it just fine. I didn't even take a look at the settings, you know. But it did look sharp and detailed to me on its 7-inch screen, and it was at 720p after all. Okay, let's try the performance mode now, 15 watts. Okay, let's start counting our FPS. Power utilization is actually at 20 watts, 19 right now. Bob, goodbye! See you in hell, my friend. Not friend, my enemy, my nemesis. Yes, I hate you, Bob. Okay, now with 15 watts... We're getting those 50-ish frames per second again. Yeah, not that great. It's a little bit better than at 1080p, I guess, right? GPU usage is still not maxed out. A little bit more stuttering as well. We didn't really see these huge spikes previously in turbo mode. And just out of curiosity, I want to see the clock speed on that CPU. And it's running at 2-point-something-ish gigahertz. You know what, it doesn't really make a ton of sense to me why these stutters are happening, because I believe this game runs very smoothly without any stuttering whatsoever, even on like an i7 2600, which is a way slower CPU than this one. What I know is it is working okay, 40 plus FPS all of the time. You could lock it to 40 and that will deliver a decent experience in terms of playability. As I told you, I did that with the Steam Deck, you know, and sometimes it will dip down into the 30s, as you can see right there, whenever we hit 15 watts. Why do I have no sound anymore? Okay, I needed to reconnect the USB-C cable here for the sound to work again, but we're back, and well, you get the idea. It is playable, especially if you lock the FPS. It's not going to stutter as much, and the 15 watts will make your system way quieter and improve the battery life, of course. Now, what about... This is not the button. I'm always missing the button. Okay, he actually jumped there. All right. Let's try the 10 watt mode. Oh, damn it, what am I doing? Here we go. At 10 watts, it gets wrecked still, guys. I think it's exactly the same as previously, right? Oh, boy. Maybe in like more CPU-intensive scenarios, it will drop to the same values as it did at 1080p. I mean, it's already dropping into the teens. GPU usage isn't maxed out. It's down to the CPU at this point. At 1 point something gigahertz, it just cannot do anything here. But hey, this is the best battery life you're gonna get. So if you can play this game with like 15 FPS locked, go for it. Alright, lastly, we're down to 720p resolution, utilizing exactly the same settings as previously, as you can see, and we're back to the turbo mode, 30 watts once again. Let's start counting our FPS. Here we go, get out of the garage, and let's see the FPS while driving. Hopefully this time we will get 60 plus 100% of the time, because that's the experience I am looking for from a ROG Ally, okay? I don't think it's gonna be possible though. This is still high settings, and I mean, it is getting 60 plus. So far it hasn't really dropped, although it dropped closer to the lower 60s. That got me worried, but now that's really good. You can lock it to 60 and have a buttery smooth experience, actually. But I thought the CPU would be a bit more powerful. Don't know why. Maybe it's just because it's locked to... Oh, wait a second. It's still running at 43 watts. Maybe at 30 watts it will actually drop. Why is it that every time you select the power utilization or the power mode, whatever, it runs for a couple of minutes at above the power limit? That's really weird. If I wanted to run above the power limit, maybe you should have a mode that you select yourself what power limit you want, like 42 watts, or at least like up to 45 watts or 50 watts, whatever. Over here, wow, it's not dropping. All right, guys. Hello, Jacqueline. How's it going? This one is Jacqueline here. So slow to turn the camera around, guys, with the controls, the console controls. Damn it. You can't really take a look at things very properly this way. But, guys, I mean, that's really nice. It's not dropping. Finally, we can get that 60 plus FPS experience at least like 99 or 98% of the time. It might drop here and there in more intensive scenarios. There aren't many more intensive scenarios than this one, but it could happen. Okay, now we're approaching this very intensive area right here. Oh boy, yeah, I'm managing to not wreck the car completely at least and not get stuck. I think I saw a really pretty car. Wait a second, we need to get that. We need to get it. Look at them. Look at him right there. It's lilac or purple or whatever that is. Pink. I don't know. Goodbye, sir. Goodbye. You got my car over there. It's waiting for you. I just wanted this one thing. Why is it... Why is the alarm going off? That's weird. Is it my alarm or was it the other car's alarm? I don't know. So yeah, this is pretty great performance with some decent visuals at the same time, especially on a 7-inch display. Let's move on to the lower wattage modes, okay? 15 watts now, performance mode. Alright, it's still gonna take a while until it reaches 15 watts. We'll start counting the FPS anyways. Still performing really well at 720p using performance 15 watts mode, although it's at 20 watts, of course. You know what? It would be great to have a power slider to adjust those things. Like 10, 15... Oh my god, that's weird. Okay. That looks like a huge spoiler now. That is amazing. Wow. And now I can see crap, so maybe we should go in first person now. It's starting to drop, guys. It's starting to drop to the 15 watt mark. And you can see the FPS dropping with it as well. Down into the 40s now. Kind of the same as we saw previously at 900p and 1080p maybe. I mean, at 1080p it was a bit worse for sure, but at 900p it also dropped into the 40s, right? Let's go down now to the 10 watt mode, my friends. Start counting the FPS. It's exactly the same thing, now with lower GPU utilization, because again, we're still CPU bound and 720p is just less taxing on the GPU. So this is what we get. Once again, we see that at 10 watts, it's just not possible. It is a horrible, stuttery experience that should not be here. But 10 watts is probably reserved for games like Hollow Knight, for example, which I played at 10 watts in this system, and 60 FPS locked. It works really well. Okay, very last thing to do here in this one. 30 watts, 720p, which was the best experience, obviously, and the one that I recommend for those of you with the ROG Ally. And let's try to play the online version, which is much more intensive on the CPU side of things. Okay, here we go, getting 50 FPS. Still seems like it's gonna be playable, guys. What am I hearing? It's just a challenge. I don't want challenges here, okay? Now, the FPS will also differ in whether or not you are in a very populated server, or where you are in the server, or if you go to the casino or whatever. I hear that's very intensive as well, especially CPU intensive. But yeah, just driving around town like we usually do, it's getting a little bit lower FPS than what we saw previously. At these same settings in story mode, we were getting 60 plus consistently, and now we're down into the 40s very, very often with 50 FPS on average. This is not bad. It's not a bad experience, you know. We're just heavily CPU bound here because probably of the clock speed. I'm gonna bring that up as well. Wait a second. There we go. No, it's not the clock speed. I just don't understand why. This CPU shouldn't be bottlenecking its own iGPU. I mean, yes, we've limited the power to 30 watts, and it's gotta share those 30 watts between CPU and GPU, but I mean, GPU isn't maxed out, CPU isn't either. CPU is still running at 3.8 gigahertz, which is very fast for Zen 3 based CPU. I think it's Zen 3. So in my opinion, it should have been running a little bit better. But hey, I don't care. It's still playable. If you want to play online, you can expect this kind of performance, like 30 to 60 most of the time, and you can achieve 60 plus sometimes as well, as you can see. I guess it's very enjoyable, especially with locked FPS. Lock it to like 40, and it's gonna be a very nice experience indeed. And now that's been it for this video, my friends. Thank you very much for watching it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And do let me know if you're playing GTA 5 on your ROG Ally as well, or if you want to buy one to play this game. Catch you in the next one very soon. Love you all. Bye-bye.